Uh, Finya Conro, Tolulope Olabisi, and but people know me as Dr. Shitu. I like to separate the two. And that means I'm married to Okomi Finyifoluwa Akonro, and we have 3 kids. I'm from Ekiti State. My hobbies are I like watching films a lot, and I like reading. Those are my hobbies. Okay, I will start from possibly my final year in medical school. I had 3 choices, and my choices, the first was community health, that's community medicine, second family medicine, and the third psychiatry. So looking at those 3, you'll see that I was a bit interested in social medicine. I would say family medicine, they all have a part of social medicine in them. And my first attempt at the primaries, I went for community health, but that was my first choice, but I found it very, very boring, and I didn't pass the primaries. And I was advised by the then DA, Director of Administration, who was my guardian here in Ibadan, to just go for family medicine. And since it was my second option, and of course the social aspect was there, I went for family medicine, and now I'm very glad I made that choice, because with family medicine I have my not just managing patients, the patient-centered care. It's loud and clear in family medicine, and also the family-oriented care, which are the basic aspects I like in family medicine. I'm sure, probably surprisingly or not surprisingly, I love mental health. So anything mental health. I don't know if family medicine has a psychiatric aspect, but I love mental health. So since that was my third option anyway, and I also like geriatric medicine, and that explains why my dissertation is based in geriatric medicine. Funny enough, I think I just like talking, so I don't mind. I also don't mind adolescent medicine, anything that will make me talk to people and probably advise them, counsel them, educate them, and follow up on them, and see that they are doing well in life. That's just so it's actually many mental health particularly. I've thought of this question, and I just concluded on Dr. Ilori, because of course from we know her, and I'm sure if I were to have lunch with her, I won't have to ask the questions. She'll come out with the questions and answers herself. Since I'm a bit conservative, sometimes I need people to push me. So I'm sure it will be a very interesting session with her. And also Dr. Adetunji, I love his intelligence, his ways of doing things. But Dr. Adetunji will not talk much. So I think I'll still go for Dr. Ilori. I would say it's been I can't say a tough one, but probably a challenging one for me. I had my 3 kids after part 2, after part 1, not just in residency. So maybe in 4 years I had 3 kids, and I had the exams to write. So it was very tough and challenging. And for me, when I started residency, my part 1 was like maybe within 2.5 years. So people were saying, Shitu, this is promising. Probably you finish before 6 years and co. But last, after part 1, everything just I can't say went down, but of course the speed had to drop, because I had my 3 kids. And of course, taking care of kids and combining that with residency was not easy at all. And also combine the fact that I'm not so good with multitasking. I do one thing, go through with it, and stop. When I finish, I take up another one, which is not so healthy. But I would say the things that really helped me were the fact that I had, number one, God's help. Because when I feel discouraged and of course maybe down, of course God is always there to help me. And the second thing is that I had helps. I didn't mind. I had a nanny. I had the house help with it. My husband does not live in Ibadan, so I had to get as many helps as possible. So I think that helped me through my residency training, having help, having people helping me, having God's help. And also I had to daily develop confidence in myself. You've done this before, you can make it again, you can make it true. So I think those were the things that really helped me manage my residency with my family life. I would say my family was enough, and my kids were enough for me to handle. So I would have loved to engage in other things, but I didn't have the time. I won't say there are regrets, but really I have some things I would have loved to do if I came back into residency. And so I won't say I had regrets. I just, number one, possibly having other things. Although I had my hands full, but I could have done some things that were not so demanding. I could have done some online courses, maybe more online courses. There were researches within the departments. I could have done such things. And I would have gotten more involved, socialized more. I don't really socialize. So, no regrets at all.
Okay. Was there any time you actually have a thought of quitting residency?
Maybe not quitting, but of course with the prolonged period between my part 1 and part 2, and of course trying to write dissertations and trying to come up with my dissertation work, and with the different challenges, it wasn't a familiar ground for most of us, and especially me, so I didn't find it easy. At the time, I had other aspirations. I needed to do some other things. I just thought, okay, let me just leave this, let me just put it on hold. So at least if I can do some other things, probably that would encourage me. I didn't want to leave totally, but probably, okay, resign, write your exams from outside UCH, try other things you needed to try. And of course, I didn't have the plans to quit totally, but probably to just take a hold and probably do something else with my life other than residency, since it was taking a very long time for me. Okay, one of my best moments was passing part 1. Our national exam was I don't know, I can't remember how many of us enrolled the exams. At last, maybe 28 of us crossed the first stage, and after that, of course, 28 of us went to Lagos. And with that, they still dropped like 4 or 5 people. That was national. Maybe just 21 of us killed through. So when I passed the exam, I felt good with myself that and of course, the other is finally writing part 2 exams after, I would say, several years. Not so many years, but to me, it was really long. So I would say passing part 2 exam 2 was also one of the moments I loved, and probably maybe reflected on something. Then the other time is, okay, being a DCME coordinator for some time, I could actually handle some things. Bringing topics, coordinating CME. It also made me believe more in myself, and I think those are the best moments I had in residency.
That's nice.
I won't say I'm scared, I would say I'm anxious. There are two different things, and anxiety would help in life. To me, if it doesn't get to the pathological phase, it will help you move forward in life. So I'm a bit anxious. What's the next stage? How do I move from here? But at the same time, I know life is in phases. I was still telling someone today that even after this phase, something else will come. Your kids will start going to secondary school. After that, they will start getting married. So there's no end to the issues in life. So it now depends on how you can face those issues, and also maybe your backbone. So since I have God as my backbone, I know it won't be easy, because personally I have some other things I plan to do, and looking at the way things are going, it might be very challenging. But I know with God, every day I need to encourage myself in the Lord, believing that I would achieve all God wants me to achieve, and I'll come out successful. and fulfilled. Okay, I might not be able to say specifically what the plans are, but I know within the next 5-10 years, I love family medicine so much that as it is now, that's my career. So I want to be the best I can in my field, the field I've chosen, and also in my home, that's in my family. I want to be a good mother to my kids, a good wife, and maybe let me say not a good, of course I've been a good, so a better or a best, if there's anything like that. So that means I want to fulfill all God wants to have me fulfilled in those aspects, and at the same time with my work with God. I think that summarizes everything about my life. I need to just be fulfilled, not just living life as it comes. So in the next 5 to 10 years, I might not say specifically where I am, where I would be, but I know I will be in the center of God's will for my life by God's grace. Okay, for me, I would say that as much as possible, I would advise that you maximize your potentials, which might not be necessarily in residency alone. So know your strength, know your weaknesses. So that means you maximize your strength, and you also try to improve on your weaknesses. How do you do this? I won't advise anybody to focus on the residency alone. I know for the women it might not be easy. That's the simple truth. But for the men, you need to go all out. I don't want to hear that. I won't like to hear that after part 1 is just part 1 you should have something in addition to it. Masters. So maximize your potentials, but at the same time stay focused. Don't do those things at the expense of you being a good doctor. I want to hear in future that okay, these guys are doing well, they are good doctors. I can actually depend on them. I can refer patients to them. So stay focused on what you've decided to do, but at the same time go all out to be what God wants you to be. And also for the women, we have challenges as women. That's the simple truth, because you can't put your life on hold for residency. You need to have kids, you need to have your family. So as much as possible, everything depends on planning. For me, it works well with me. I have nannies, I have helps, and that works well for me. For some people, they can't do that. So know what works well for you, so that you can actually cope with residency. And as I said, if you can't do something that is very occupying, then why don't you just do online courses, be involved in research works? As much as you can't pause a part of your life for the other, you need to get married and you need to continue with your life as a woman, as a wife. You should know what works best for you. For me, I had nannies, I had help, and it worked for me. So I also want to say that I actually need help. You need to plan yourself, especially in family medicine. You plan your family. You can't afford to have an unplanned family. Let me put it that way. I think we understand. So you know what you are doing part time, and I think that would help. But as much as possible, let's not limit our lives to medicine or clinical practice alone. Let's explore other opportunities we have as individuals. So I would like to appreciate everyone that have met along the way, my trainers, my mentors, trainers, and colleagues at different levels, and also every other member of every member of the team. It was actually worthwhile. I thank God I came and I conquered, and I'm finishing strong. And by God's grace, I believe that when we see ourselves or when we hear from one another, it will be good news. And I wish everyone coming the very best in their endeavors.
My name is Babi, Babalola Ibishola. I'm a native of Ishararemo, Ogun State. I was born a little over 4 decades ago in Lagos at around 10:30 p.m. in Shomolu, Lagos. I attended CMS Primary School for a brief moment before moving to Wesley primary school, Remo, attended Shapadu Grammar School, Ogun State University, and Nigerian Defense Academy for my postgraduate diploma in management, and the University of Edinburgh for my master's in family medicine. I recently became a fellow of West African College of Physicians. I'm married to Dr. Faith Folashade Bishola, and I have two wonderful sons, Victor and Vincent. The choice of family medicine for me was a sort of evolution. I'd wanted to be in the community helping people. As an undergraduate, my first choice was to become a neurosurgeon. But looking at the situation in the country, the number of years that one will have to spend in neurosurgery, I felt that it would be tantamount to wasting one's life, a precious life for that matter, pursuing that cause. Apology to my friends and the great people who are in that specialty. So I wrote my first primary in community medicine so that I can relate well, with what is happening in the community. During my house job in Kaduna, I was in a center where the people who are running the show there were family physicians. They admit patients from the beginning and they manage the patient till the end, be it surgical cases, O&G, whatever have you. So I then realizing within myself that one way or the other I still want to have this clinical interaction with patients. So family medicine became the next evolution in my career path. So that was why I chose family medicine. Okay, like our specialty is, you master so many things, and just the same way an average family physician did not find him or herself being restricted, whether by specialty medicine. So also it is for me, choosing a coning down, in an area in family medicine. But that being said, I recently discovered an area of family medicine where I know that I can perform clinically well and I can still relate with the people in the community. So I'm focusing on hospital at home. Why do everybody have to come to the hospital? So we can provide care for people at home. And looking at our demography, who are the people in need of hospital at home the most, if not for our elderly? So I can say I have interest in elderly care, seeing them in the comfort of their home, providing home visits and home care services at a large scale. Actually, I would love to invite every of my trainer for lunch if I have the opportunity. But that said, two people, a male and female, Dr. Irabo, the female consultant or trainer that I would love to invite for a lunch. And the reason is this: when I came into the department, I identified her as someone who is very brilliant and who is also versatile. In fact, I deliberately avoided putting myself close to her so that I will not be dusted, by a level of intelligence. So she's someone that if I have the opportunity, I really want to sit down with her and know how she, master everything she put her hand into. And for Dr. Adetunji, I've had, snapshots of interaction with him, and each time I usually left a better person. She has this native intelligence that when she talks to you, you are living with deep, sense of belonging, sense of focus, and you are usually inspired to want to be a better person. So I would really love to learn more from those people. But every of my trainers actually are wonderful people that I haven't had time to know them well. yes, there were challenges, which I think is part of the natural evolution of a new family, a young family, working couples. My wife is a medical doctor who is also, we started the residency training at about the same time, so the challenges were there right from the beginning. Then when children start coming in, we have to manage the home. But good enough for me, I have a wife who is also like the traditional Yoruba lady who believes that the family has to come first. She dedicated a lot of her time. She made a lot of sacrifices to make sure that our home is, is a unit. We maintain the unit, and nobody is lacking anything. And at some point, we enjoyed social support from family members, grannies and nieces sometimes, and occasionally we use house help. So essentially, my wife made her family and my residency training, a lot easier for me. As to the motivation joining politics in residency, I'll say I'll call myself as an accidental politician in ARDUCH. Well, as a first-year resident, all I wanted to do was to see things done well, was to see things done properly, especially among a group of people you call the high intellect set of people. So I decided to do an opinion poll in preparation for a particular election period. The outcome of that opinion poll put me, exposed me to some wrong set of people who, instead of seeing the good in an attempt to even try to do something innovative, they began to attack my persons just because they are from this environment. They believe that they are the godfathers. But yeah, my natural instinct is to resist any form of injustice, any form of oppression. I do that for friends, talk less of someone having the guts, to try to suppress my person. So naturally, with the way I went about it, putting them in their place, in summary, people were able to see that fierceness, that courageousness in my person. One way or the other, people begin to nudge me in that direction. You can also be a good leader. If you can talk it, then you should be able to live it. So that was how my journey began into politics in ARDUCH. Well, thank you very much. Incidentally, I was once the vice president before I became the president. At the time when I was serving as the vice president of ARDUCH, I was simultaneously serving as the vice convener, postgraduate medical school at University of Edinburgh for the student association, student union association. Now, my time at Edinburgh, I discovered that the way they did things were quite different from the way we were doing things here. As an official of the student union at Edinburgh, the first thing you have in your mind is how to move your institution forward. When we have agenda, we present it to the school authority and they look at it dispassionately. How can we modify this? How can we adapt this to benefit the institution via the student and the image of the institution outside the United Kingdom? So that was one of the things I thought and I actually strived that we should do when I was the president of ARD. I remember then I approached the then CMD. I told him there have always been fight between resident doctors and the CMD and the institution. But is it possible that we use the analogy of a father and a son? See resident doctor as your first children, the nurses are our sibling, other workers, maybe they are cousins and stuff like that. And as a father, you will always not have the wherewithal to meet all the insatiable need of your children, but you will try as much as possible, to give them what they need. So let us know what challenges you are having as our father, And once we have that father-son or father-children relationship, we'll be able to understand with you that the resources that is available now, dad can use it to settle other members of the family. Why we know that the larger share, the lion's share is still coming back to us because it's our father. So we did that such that when we had to, when there were instances where we had to shut down the system, we resisted the urge to do that. Because what people need to realize is when you're in a position of authority like the ARA president of UCH, which is the largest body of resident doctor in Nigeria, your decision, every single decision you make, it has far-reaching effect. If you call a strike action for 5 minutes in UCH, you cannot imagine the number of people, the number of souls that may perish because of that decision. So you have to develop this long suffering, you have to develop this resilience in terms of your diplomacy, your negotiation, making people to see reason. I remember when about 8 set of residents were given, erroneously given a letter to quit their residency, despite the fact that they still had time. I prostrated to the CMD on the road that this thing is not the right thing, can we reverse it? But he insisted that no. Unbeknown to him, the people from the establishment, from the HR, were the one that came up with a wrong calculation. So I did my homework and I felt that this is something we don't need to shut down this. If we had shut down the system, we would still have come back to the drawing table to achieve the same thing. So I said no. Instead, I wrote to the CMAC, let us call the hospital-wide residency training committee meeting where all the HOD, all the management staff will be there. And that was what we did. There, we discussed like fathers and sons, and we explained the existing circular that make those people to be eligible to write one more exam, and we didn't shut down the system. So my advice would be for, especially from this department, we have family medicine, and the first thing is family has to come to mind. And when you think of family, a mortality in a family is 100% to that family. So you have to think, you have to be empathetic with your decision, every decision you make. So also any other resident, whether be it in UCH or any part of the country hearing this, my advice to you is there are always ways you can talk this thing out. You can always, there is no soul, there is no heart of any human being that is a stone. You can always find that person who will touch their pacemaker and they will beat, their heartbeat will beat to your tone. No, for me, I thank God. I think I would say I'm a restless person. You can say multi-talented, versatile. I knew what I was going into. I knew I could multitask. I knew I could do many things at the same time. So I really can't even say the being in politics affected or was a challenge to my residency training. No, not at all. I was able to balance the two very well, because you have to assess yourself. You have to be able to assess yourself and tell yourself if what you are doing now is the right thing. And I will say that no regret during the time that I serve and my study. Yet there was a time that I thought I should not calling it a quit for calling residency training, cutting it off like that. I felt that maybe I should leave the environment. Like I said, I'm a restless person. I don't like being confined, being held down in a location for a long time. And I've been in Ibadan for 7 years. As at that time, my timeline was to write my Part 2 exam April 2019. But due to some challenges with my dissertation, I had to write my proposal 3 times before it could even go to the ethics and then the college. So at that point, I felt there was no point wasting my life, as it were, on this second phase of the residency. So I thought I'll just quit, go back to Lagos, continue with my life and maybe write the exam along the line. But I spoke with the then RTC, Dr. Adetunji, and it made me to see reason why, if you have started, why not just complete it. And thank God for today we are here. It's not a history. Ironically, residency took away my business. I had a bookshop that was running as a medical student, which I maintained during my hard job and immediately after that. But when I came to UCH, which was a reluctant decision, on the letter of appointment, it was written there that you could not do any other thing apart from this training. And as a responsible citizen, really, I took that wholeheartedly. So I left the business to a junior colleague in school, completely 100%. So he didn't manage it well, as I found out later, and that business is history now. So residency took away business from me. But during the course of our residency training, there was a time the Code of Conduct Bureau asked us to declare our assets, and I found out that the only thing that civil service permits you to do is farming. So I'm into farming. That's what I've been doing in recent time, and I wouldn't say that has affected my residency. If anything, it made me a better resident doctor and a balanced human being. I won't say there's any regret. There are challenges, right? No regrets. We learn every day. My best moment during the course of my training was when I had my first son. I was in the theater with my wife when they brought him out. He was dropped into my hand. I had his first cry. I became a father after almost 4 years of marriage. The long waiting and all of that. The other wonderful moment for me as a resident, when I passed my part 1 in both national and West Africa colleges, where of course I was a bit had some trepidation, leading up to the exam, but I came out in flying color, and that was momentous. The recent part 2 exam, I wouldn't say it's my best moment because I'm even yet to absorb, the reality of that success. But I think it felt good, becoming a fellow also. Scared? No, I'm never afraid of leaving. But I would say yes, I'm anxious as to what the next phase of life holds. We have plans, we have many things we want to do, and I'm not afraid. I know God is going to open. If this door closes now, God is going to open other doors. Maybe my anxiety is about picking the right door, knowing how to pick the right one. In the next 5-10 years, I don't know. What I'm sure of, God sparing my life, I will still be a diligent human being, a focused one, never relenting, ambitious. I believe that hopefully maybe I'll be a senior lecturer, maybe 5-10 years now. I should have completed my PhD, and I'll be a better pianist. I just started learning, and I'll be a good pal to my sons and the best friend to my wife.
Thank you.
I have many, but I would say believe in yourself. You are here because you made that choice to be here. But don't also be confined to the 4 walls of UCH. I flew during my residency training. I flew above this world. I invested like half or more than half of my earnings in my masters because I don't want to be limited to this environment. So dig deep within yourself and and fly above whatever serves as a confinement limitation. Believe you can do it. And also, if you are one of the people who have aspiration of leaving the shore of the country, I will ask you, I will advise you that you make that decision early enough. Make it quickly, go with the mind of coming back to contribute to this country. This country has given us so much. We almost aspire and consciously make effort to make it better. Parting words, we say that our life is about memories. When we interact with people, we build memories, and you should make conscious effort to build good one. Ask yourself, what will people remember me for? What will I be remembered for? What do you want to remember about the next person sitting to you? What do you want to remember about this department? And how you arrive at that has to do with your choices, in the way you choose to react to an action, in the way you choose to take whatever comes your way. So it's good to build good memories. And I would love to say, I wouldn't say I have foes, but if there are people that have stepped on their toes, like I said, in my restlessness, I might have stepped on your toe. Forgive and pardon me. And if you have any gall, any bitterness against me, I advise you that you take honey so that your mind can be sweeter. Life is short. There's no point keeping grudges, hatred against another person. Explore your own space and be good to yourself, be good to humanity. I love everybody in this department. I'm going to miss everybody. This is a huge chunk of part of my life that is going to determine a lot of things about my future. So thank you all for the contribution you make into my life and my training and career. God bless you.
I'm Dr. Babatunde John, the chairman of the committee of this maiden edition of Meet the Fellow, which is the first of its kind for the Department of Family Medicine. First of all, I want to appreciate the Almighty God for the success of this program. And also I would like to appreciate the Chief Resident who brought up this concept, and that was how we started, and here we are today. We thank God. Also, I want to appreciate the team members, Dr. Towoju, Dr. Shenjobi, Dr. Boriwaye, Dr. Dosumu, and Dr. Dada. You have been very wonderful. And also to our fellows, we are really grateful to have met you, to have had time with you, and to have interacted with you. Thank you for your time. And we also wish you all the best as you go forth into the world to conquer. God bless us all, and long live the Department of Family Medicine. Thank you.